Alright, we're at part 3, aka verses 17 to 21 of Daniel chapter 1. And let's dive in. As for these 4 youths, God gave them learning and skill in all literature, wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. At the end of the time when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. The king spoke with them, and among all of them none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. Therefore they stood before the king in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king inquired them. He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters that were in the kingdom. And Daniel was there until the first year of Cyrus. Well, that's a little bit of a turn. So God, after these 4 youths made the stand to be different, God blesses them with learning. Gave them learning and skill in all literature and wisdom. These guys are super wise. They have super knowledgeable. They have so much skill. And Daniel also has understanding in all visions and dreams, which is going to come in extremely important later on in Daniel. So this is what God does when we take steps to separate ourselves from living in the passions of the flesh and living in the same way as everyone else, right? We take those steps, and this is what God does. He begins to bless us in things like wisdom or whatever it is. Like he does. He wants us to live for him, and when we do it, again, why wouldn't he reward us, right? Even if things are easier, that doesn't make it so he doesn't reward us. He can use us for him more efficiently, right? So Daniel now has understanding in all visions and dreams, and they all have skill in literature and wisdom, which are very important things, especially right now. And as we see, God can use all those things, right? These guys become advisors to the king, which, again, for some Jewish people, this is probably crazy. It's kind of like what we see with Joseph when he becomes like the second in charge in the land of Egypt, the most important person in the world besides Pharaoh, right? God blesses him in wisdom because he was found faithful, right? He blesses him in wisdom and also in understanding of dreams, right? So we see, I would say, another type of Joseph in Daniel, right? This is someone who is also taken into captivity, also going through stuff, and he remains upright and faithful to God. And God says, I'm going to bless you in the same exact way. So now we see Daniel, who is now right under Nebuchadnezzar as an advisor to the king. And later on, we'll even see Daniel be thrown into jail, just like Joseph was, and for no reason at all. Besides, in this case, he was praying, and in Joseph's case, he didn't do anything, right? And they got thrown into jail. So we see, I would say, a very nice type. And these are 2 guys who I think are 2 of my favorite people in the Bible, right? Besides Jesus, of course. But like, these are 2 guys who I feel like we can model our lives after, and it actually be maybe possible, because these guys were so upright. These guys were just, they weren't perfect, again. They still made mistakes, but they lived for God, and God used them in just such miraculous ways. So the king spoke with them, and at the end of the time when the king had commanded that they should be brought in, the chief of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king spoke with them, and among all of them none was found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they stood before the king, right? In the land, none of all the people that trained, none were found like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. These men had integrity, they had wisdom, they had strength, they had understanding, they had skill in literature. These guys were the guys, right? They were perfect for the job. The integrity, the just abilities were off the charts. They had so much wisdom from God. They were blessed in such a big way. But Nebuchadnezzar is just probably blown away. He's probably never seen anyone like this in his entire life. And the king spoke with them, and among all of them, and none were found. Like, that to me is just amazing. And they stood before the king. And in every matter of wisdom and understanding about which king inquired of them, He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters that were in his kingdom. And Daniel was there until the first year of King Cyrus. So, 10 times better than anyone else. Isn't that amazing? God used these guys 10 times more than anyone else. These were the people before they took over Jerusalem. These were the people who were the king's right-hand guys, right? These were the magicians, the enchanters. They knew everything. They could get you answers. They could, whether they're good or not, again, yeah, it can be debated, but so that was those were the guys. They were the ones that Nebuchadnezzar loved, and then all of a sudden, these 4 guys take all their jobs, and Nebuchadnezzar is simply blown away by the amount of wisdom that they have. And, 10 times is a huge amount, right? That's how much more God can use us, right? Even though we're not perfect, just like these guys weren't perfect, God can just use 10 times more than he can use someone who's not a Christian, right? And that's not to say God doesn't love people who aren't Christians. He still does. But he can't use them in the same way he can use us, right? Which is just so cool, right? All we have to do is accept the free gift, and all of a sudden God gives us wisdom. He gives us favor. He'll just use us in such unimaginable ways, right? We'll understand unfathomable things. One day we'll be in eternity with him. And to me, it's just, why wouldn't you want that? Right? If you're not saved, why don't you want to just have a chance at eternity with God, right? If you it turns out you guys are wrong about there not being a God, you guys will be in misery for eternity, which is just, to me, mind-blowing that you would even risk anything like this. So God can use you no matter where you are, no matter what you're suffering and struggling with. He can still use you. He can still use me, even though I'm a completely broken, terrible person. Like, God can still use me, and I do pray that he can do that and will do that. And Daniel was there until the first year of King Cyrus. So this was Nebuchadnezzar's right-hand man for a very long time, and God just used him in such massive ways, which I pray that he can do with me and everyone else that, again, believes in him. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I should be back later. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and thank you again for watching. Have a good one, guys.